Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vipagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Gukarastvandakaro vai Rukarastvannivartakaha Andhakara nirodhitvad Gururitya vidhiyate. Sadashiva samarambham Shankaracharya madhyamam Asmadacharya paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Welcome to this second session of Kathopanishad. Here is a compilation of a few selected verses from the text, because in the short time that is available to us, we cannot do justice to the whole text. At the same time, it is agreed on our part to study the text, and therefore we select few passages or mantras which cover all the important topics of the text. We started this study last year in the retreat here, and we have discussed first 7 passages in this selection. If you open page number 2, at the top we have the Shanti Mantra Sahanavavatu, which we already chanted. Second is also a salutation to the teachers. So let me recite and you please repeat after me the second line. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaivasvataya Mrityave Brahma Vidyacharyaya Nachiketa Secha. This is a salutation that Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, whom we call Bhashyakara, the commentator. The commentator Adi Shankaracharya ji, before commencing his commentary on this text, offers salutations to the teacher. Sometimes it is done, most often we don't find this kind of salutation. Says, saluting the teacher of the Kathopanishad. With the teacher, Mrityave. The fourth word is Mrityave. Namo Mrityave. To Mrityu, to Lord Death, my namaskar, my salutation. You are saluting death? Death? By death is meant here the presiding deity of the function of death. For everything that happens in nature, there is a presiding deity, Ishvara in a given form performing those functions. So death or destruction, death also is something that takes place everywhere in the creation, and Ishvara of course does that as manifest as the Lord of Death. His name is Yama. Yama means to restrain. So one who restrains, one who keeps everything in order, one who functions according to the order of dharma or righteousness. There is one place where no influence works. That is Yama. That is the Lord of Death. To him our salutation. So question is asked, does this Lord of Death, does he deserve a salutation? Is he not someone who is very cruel? Does he not throw away the prana, the life from the living beings, kills them? He is a ghataka, he is a killer. How does he deserve our prostrations? But he is the teacher of this Upanishad. The Acharya, the teacher of Kathopanishad, is none other than Yama or the Lord of Death. How does he gain the status of teacher, of teaching or imparting Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of Brahman? Only when the explanation is given that even though he is performing the function of the role of Yama, having to take away the life of living beings, but he is a wise person established in the knowledge of the self. So he knows himself as actionless self. And therefore, even though appearing to perform all the actions, from no standpoint, he does not do anything. Lord Krishna says, Neva kinchit karoti saha. Even though appearing to perform the actions, from his own standpoint, he does not perform any action because he does not have the notion that I am performing action. If you are not performing action, who performs it? We see you, hear you talking and you say, I don't talk, but you are talking. Says, the action takes place in my presence. Indriyani indriyateshu vartante. The sense organs interact with the sense objects. This is called action. And who am I? I am the self, the consciousness, the very presence, in whose presence actions take place. Meaning that thus one who knows oneself, the true nature of oneself, knows the self as actionless. And therefore, regardless of what action that individual appears to perform outwardly to the onlookers, from his own standpoint, he does not perform any action. And therefore, he does not incur any punya or papa, virtue or vice, meaning that the action does not become a binding action. It does not produce any result for him. He is not bound by action. And thus a wise person can do anything, including playing the role of Yama or the Lord of Death. To that Yamaraja, the Lord of Death, who is the teacher of this Kathopanishad. And he is not an ordinary being. Vivasvataya, he is the son of Vivasvan, son of Sun, S-U-N. Sun means Hiranyagarbha, is son of that. Means possessed of all the knowledge and brilliance. To Brahma Vidya Acharya, the teacher of Brahma Vidya, our salutation. So this is salutation to the Guru. And also says, Nachiketa says, there is also salutation to the disciple. Yamaraja is the teacher, and the disciple to whom this knowledge is imparted is, his name is Nachiketa. Nachiketa says, to Nachiketa also our salutation. Because as we will see, Nachiketa is an outstanding aspirant, and on account of he being what he was, that this Yamaraja or the Lord of Death was almost obliged to impart the knowledge to him. Had Nachiketa not been there, this knowledge would not have come down to us, and therefore he also deserves our salutation. So saluting the teachers. Why do you salute the teachers? It shows our devotion to teachers. Bhakti or devotion to the teacher. So this devotion to teacher, in this teaching tradition, the devotion to teacher is considered to be an extremely important requirement for gaining the knowledge. Because devotion makes me the recipient of the grace of the one to whom I am devoted, and thus we invoke or tap the grace of the teachers. And that is very important for us to understand the teaching. The teacher who imparts the teaching and his grace is there, then teaching will reveal itself, the words will reveal their meaning in my mind. And therefore, my salutations to the teachers. Now, let us quickly review what we have done last year. So, come to the first passage on that page number 2. I will read the passage, you please repeat after me. Om Ushan Havai Vajashravasah Sarvavedasam Dadau Tasya Nachiketa Nama Putra Asa. So text does not begin directly with the imparting of the Brahma Vidya or self-knowledge, but it begins with an anecdote, begins with a story. Here it's called Akhyayika in Sanskrit, call it story or anecdote. So very often the teaching is imparted in the framework of an episode or an anecdote or an event. So here also this Upanishad, the teaching is imparted in the framework of an anecdote or a story. The purpose of the story, as we will see, is to show the importance of this knowledge. What all it takes to become qualified for the knowledge, what all it takes for us, what all we are required to let go, give up or renounce. So what degree of renunciation or detachment, let us say, what commitment to truth or satyam is required, what shraddha or the faith, the trust in the scriptures is required, what viveka or the discernment, discrimination is required, what vairagya, what dispassion is required, what jignasa, the desire, keen desire for knowledge is required. So these are the requirements for being qualified for gaining this knowledge. And Nachiketa is a qualified aspirant par excellence. Perhaps nowhere in the scripture do you find a character equivalent to that of Nachiketa, who displays all the attributes or all the qualifications of a mumukshu or an aspirant. This is what the story describes to us, thereby helping us also to give us a way of how to cultivate those qualifications within ourselves. Also shows the glory of this knowledge to how, for someone like Nachiketa, even the greatest achievements of this world and heaven, they were nothing that he could just drop them for the sake of this knowledge. That shows how valuable this knowledge is. Lord Krishna says, Raja Vidya, Raja Uhyam. It is the Raja is the king of all the knowledge. It is the king of all the secrets. Uttamam, it is the most exalted. So, Upanishad begins with this anecdote or akhyayika, first of all, to help us understand how to cultivate these qualifications. Also, to convey to us the value or the greatness of this knowledge. So that we will also realize that what we are about to study is something most valuable. There is nothing more valuable than this knowledge. If that becomes clear to us, then alone we will be able to let go other value for other things. Because in our life, many things are valuable. The wealth and fame and power is valuable. The family and near and dear ones are valuable. And there are so many things that are valuable to me right now. And perhaps this knowledge also is one of those valuable things. And so it may gain a certain kind of priority. But only when we understand that it is the most valuable. In fact, compared to the value that knowledge has, nothing else has any value at all. When we realize that, then we will have the motivation to drop the value that we give to other things, the attachment that we have for other things, and discover attachment for this knowledge. So what is meant by detachment is detachment from whatever it is that becomes an obstacle and attachment to what it is that I am seeking. To impress that upon us, the Upanishad begins the story of a young boy whose name is Nachiketa. Nachiketas in Sanskrit. And Nachiketas, what will be the nominative singular of this word Nachiketas? Nachiketaha. That will be the nominative singular. But in most cases that Visarga gets elided and therefore you find Nachiketa. Nachiketas is the name. And we should be saying Nachiketas. Or if you use the declined Nachiketa, but we are using Nachiketa, he's become famous as Nachiketa. So this young boy whose name is Nachiketa, the story says that once upon a time his father was performing a very elaborate ritual which required him to give away all his wealth as gift to the priest and others. And when the ritual was over, which may have lasted over several days, and there may be a number of priests, a number of other guests also to whom the various gifts of Dakshina was to be given. The time came for giving Dakshina or the gift. Now Nachiketa, he is well versed with the scriptures because his father also is his guru. And father must have been a teacher of the Vedas and must be teaching a number of students, of which Nachiketa was one. Meaning that Nachiketa has been exposed to the teaching of the Vedas. So he knows what is what. He knows what dharma is. He knows what righteous is. He knows what adharma is. All of this he knows. Then he finds that when the time came for giving gift or dakshina to the priests and other brahmanas, what was given away were cows. Cow represented the wealth those days. And therefore the gift was given in the form of cows, because that would sustain the life of the one to whom it is given. And Nachiketa found, however, that All the old infirm cows were being given away as dakshina or gift to the brahmanas. Meaning that these cows will be of no use to those who are receiving the gift. In fact, they will be a burden to them. And when this kind of cows are given as dakshina, if you give them away for nothing, that's maybe different. But give away as dakshina. Dakshina means a commitment or the obligation to give the priest that due share. And when you give these useless things which are a burden to them, Nachiketa realized that it is my father is committing a sin and he'll wind up having to go to hell. Nachiketa was pained in his heart that my father, having performed this elaborate ritual, will go to hell. How can that happen when son like me is here, right in front of him? What can I do to help my father and save him from the consequences of having to go to hell? So he thought that maybe my father has run out of all the wealth and therefore he is obliged to give away this kind of cows. Then why not I go to my father and say, I am also have wealth. You can give me also away. Father cannot give away the son unless son himself shows the willingness. So let me go and show my willingness. So he goes to his father. Says, Tata kasmai mam dasasi. Oh father, who will you give me as gift? Father is very busy performing various roles, in the rituals, giving away this dakshina. And this boy goes and asks a very strange question. Who are you going to give me as a gift? That kind of thing has never happened. So father did not pay any attention to this child. And child being what it is always wants attention of the father. The child will pull the sari of the mother. Here he asked again and again. Dvitiyam, Tritiyam, second time, third time. Then his father got annoyed. That's not the way for you to behave. Mrityavetva dadameri. I'm giving it to Lord Death. Saying out of anger, but this is what he says. Go and get lost. Now he says, our mother would say, go and jump in the well. Something like that, So when you harass them, that's what they say. So then this is what father said, I'll give you to death. But this boy took it seriously and literally. He left that place, went into solitude and started thinking, why is my father giving me away to death? What offense have I done? How have I offended? What wrong have I done? He could not think of anything. Why is my father punishing me? He could not see any reason why the father should punish him. Maybe Yamaraja, Lord Death, needs me. Is that why my father is sending me? What can I do for him? No, that also cannot be the reason. In his own mind, Nachiketa explored the possible reasons as to why father would have said it and could not arrive at any reason. Then he concluded that father has said this out of anger. Even old man says something out of anger, we don't, the old man, his habit of saying, don't bother about what he says. But not Nachiketa. He goes to his father and says, well, you should not go back on your words. So father, please, you told me you are giving me to death. Please allow me to go to death. Then father realized, what do you mean allow? You know what it means? Yes, I know what it means. No, my child, I just said out of anger, I did not mean it. Whether you meant it or not, you said it. And your words must come true. Otherwise, again you will incur further sin of going back on your words and that. So nobody ever does that. Therefore, please, let me go to death in keeping with what you told me. So this Satyam, Nachiketa, this is the value. How far will you stretch the value? Satyam means truthfulness, honesty. How far will you go? You will go so far. People have a value always, that is, for $5 I'll let go up to $5 and speak truth. or maybe $10, $100. Everyone is a value. And then the time comes when you let go. Like they tell this cruel story of this mother and child. That mother has always unswerving love for the child. So they want to test. So there is a female monkey and then this little child sticking to her breast. And they put her in a sort of, what shall I say, well, and started filling that thing. So now this mother monkey saw that they are going to get drowned. So she stood up and the water started rising. She put the little child on her head. It still started rising. And then what she did, she put the child and then she stood on that, because ultimately your life is always most valuable. So for your life you can sacrifice anything. So when Father says, do you know what it means that you will die? So what does it mean? What does it matter? After all, the body is like the grains or the corn growing in the field. It gets ripened, falls down, comes back again. So this body will fall and come back again. That for the sake of the body, you cannot sacrifice truth. Father has no choice but to let him go. And Nachiketa goes to Yamaraja, to his palace. Apparently, the Lord Death had gone for some chore. And he was away for 3 days. After he came back, then they reported to him that this young boy is here, is waiting here for you for 3 days and 3 nights. He's standing at the gate, he does not even come inside. He did not accept any food, nothing, because he said that I have been given to Lord Yamaraja. Unless I have his permission, I can't eat anything, I can't do anything, I can't even enter. So the Yamaraja said, he invited him, gave him a seat, and showed all the due respect, and said, I'm very sorry that in my absence you have to stay hungry. So for each night that you stayed hungry in my home, I give you a boon. So I give you 3 boons. Ask whatever you want. The first boon that Nachiketa asked for the peace of mind of his father. He knew that father must be very guilty, very upset, would not be able to sleep at night. So make sure that my father is free from all anxiety and sleeps well at night. Granted. Then Nachiketa says that I find that people in the society, all of them have great value for Swarga or heaven. So please teach me a vidya, knowledge, which I can impart to them, by which they can fulfill their desire to go to heaven. Granted. So he encased first boon for the well-being of his parents, family, father. Second boon was encased for the well-being of the society. Thus he has finished all his duties. Because Runam means a debt. So we are all born with various debts. Because we are given this body and it is raised and nurtured and nourished by the parents, we are indebted to them. Indebted to the rest of the society and the world also for the support that it gives them. It's our duty to pay back our debt. So Nachiketa did that. Now his duty towards himself. So for encashing the third boon now, he asks a question. So page number 3, see the passage number 3. Yayam prete Vichikitsa manushe Astityeke Nayamastiti chaike Etad vidyam Anushishtastvayaham Varanam Ishaha Varaha Trutiyaha Varanam Eshaha Varas Trutiyaha. Among the boons, this is the third boon that I'm asking. What's the third one? Second line, etad vidyam anushishtastvayaham. This is what I want to know as instructed by you. This is what I want to know. This is a knowledge I seek from you as instructed by you. What do you want to know? So now he is encashing the third boon to gain knowledge. That shows that the desire for knowledge has arisen in the mind of Nachiketa. And desire for knowledge just does not arise in any and every mind. It must be a sattvic mind, meaning a mind enjoying predominance in sattva, where all rajas and tamas, all impurities are removed. Nachiketa represents an aspirant having the purity of the mind, and in that mind the desire for knowledge and desire for self-knowledge arises. It's called vividisha, desire for knowledge. It arises when we gain emotional maturity or when we gain the purification of mind. And what is meant by purification is that our mind becomes free from all inner conflicts or inner restlessness, becomes free from all the cravings, kamaha, krodha, lobha, from the cravings, from anger, from greed, all these impulses. Mind becomes free from all the impulses. It gains a tranquility, shamaha, damaha, self-control, self-mastery of one's own self, tranquility of the mind, a forbearance. These qualities automatically happen in a sattvic mind. As a result, the mumuksha, the desire for moksha arises. Moksha me bhuyatati cha, may I gain moksha, may I gain liberation. In itself that is not enough. Everybody is a mumuksha, meaning that everybody is a desire of moksha or liberation. But here is a person who has discerned what is the means of attaining moksha or liberation. He has realized that it is knowledge which is the means of attaining liberation. Tad vijnanartham sa gurumeva vikached Upanishad says that for that knowledge may you approach a teacher. For knowledge of what? Nasti akrutah krutena. When one realizes that what I am seeking is akrutah, is uncreated, meaning is eternal, is permanent, limitless. So what I am seeking in my life is limitlessness. Not only I want happiness, but I want limitless happiness, limitless freedom, unconditional happiness, unconditional freedom. This is what I am seeking. One is to recognize that. What is the desire behind all the desires? What is the primary urge in the heart is that kind of happiness, that kind of freedom. That is called limitlessness, that's called nityam, eternal. And that is not something to be attained because eternally must be already there, is something to be known. So this also is an insight that this limitlessness is not something to be achieved, is something to be known as my own self. This is a big thing. For this thing to happen in somebody's mind, that what I am seeking in life is limitlessness, that so far I have been attempting to attain that limitless, but that cannot be attained because what is attained is always limited. Limitlessness must be already there as my own self. And what is separating me from that is ignorance and nothing else. So what is needed is removal of ignorance by knowledge. When this is called the real maturity. When that arises, then one approaches a teacher. Samitpani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. With gift in your hand, approach a wise and learned and teacher who is established in knowledge. So Nachiketa says, this is what I want to be instructed by you. I have come to the right teacher. What do you want to know? He says, the first line said, Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushe. See the translation. Here is a doubt regarding a man when he dies. Who can be a more qualified individual than death to tell us about the death? Here is a doubt about a man or a person or when he dies, a human being when he dies. What's the doubt? Some people say that he exists, self exists. Even when the body dies, the self does not die, self exists, meaning that there are those who say that there is a self or Atma other than body. Nayamasti chaike, whereas others say that nothing remains, meaning there are those who believe that the body itself is a self, and when body goes, there is no self left. Whereas there are others who say that there is a self or the Atma which is other than the body, that doesn't die on the death of the body. Etad Vidyam, that's I want to know that. I want to know the self. And who can be more qualified than you? Because he knows both life as well as death. Yamaraja, being the Lord of death, knows what happens after death, whether something remains or not. Etad Vidyam Anushishtastvayam. Why do you want to know this? What's it? He says, I know that it is this knowledge which alone is a means of attaining the goal of my life. What I am seeking, that freedom, that happiness, that limitlessness can be only attained by this knowledge and by nothing else, and therefore I want this knowledge. So he is encashing the third boon for his own self. Having fulfilled all his obligations, now there is an obligation to oneself also, which we should know. When people exhaust themselves completely in doing things, doing other for others, and whether they get exhausted. There has to be a limit, a time when now we have to recognize that something has to be done for myself. So Nachiketa, having fulfilled his obligations to all others, now he is fulfilling obligation to himself. That my agenda is moksha, liberation, freedom, and I know that it is a knowledge which is the means of that. Therefore, I want that knowledge from you. And this really must have surprised and shocked Yamaraja. What is this young boy asking? First of all, he tried to discourage him. Says, you know something? Even the devatas, gods in the heavens also have not got this knowledge. They are still wondering what the Atma is. It is extremely subtle to know. Therefore, it's not for you. Just let it go. Ask for something else. He says, even devatas, gods also have doubt about this. They also do not know. Then it was very precious. That's what I want to know then. So now what can Yamaraja do? Then to again distract him, Yamaraja presented all kinds of temptations before Nachiketa. Hey Nachiketa, ask for whatever you want. I'm giving you sons and grandsons, all of whom will live for 100 years. Shatayusha putra pautran munisha. Bahun Pashun, what will I do with all of them? So I'll give you wealth, to sustain all of them. Bahun Pashun, Hasti Hiranyam Ashwan, all the cattle and elephant and horses, gold and silver and jewelry and diamonds. But somebody dropped me from that and says, no, Bhumir Mahada, You ask for the kingdom of the whole earth, I'll make you the king, ruler. Nachiketa did not show any enthusiasm, and so Yamaraja made his offer a little more attractive. He said, Etat tulyam yadi manyase, if you think that there is something better, then ask for it. Whatever wealth you want, whatever you want, ask for it. And still Nachiketa did not show any response. Then says Yamaraja, do you see all these, the damsels here, the divine, with all the chariots and their vehicles and with their musical instruments? I'll send all of them you, and then they will serve, they all serve you. Ask for divine pleasures, I'll give you. So this Yamaraja, the teacher, got exhausted. I mean, he offered whatever he could offer. Then says Nachiketa in the next passage, page 4, passage number 4. Shobhavamartyasya yadantakaitat sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejah api sarvam jivitam alpameva tavaiva vahaha tava nritya gite. See the translation. Oh Yama, all these things are ephemeral. What all you offered me, all the pleasures of this world and heaven and all the pleasures available anywhere. Not only earth but even in the heaven. What are they? Shobha. They are all ephemeral. Meaning that there is no guarantee that they will be there even tomorrow. Meaning all of them are perishable. They are all fleeting. They come and go. Doesn't matter. What does it matter? I'll give you many. So even if they get ephemeral, you'll keep on getting one pleasure after the other. Enjoy them. The next sentence is Sarvendriyam Jaranti Teja, and weaken the power of all the sense organs. Enjoying these pleasures is at the cost of my vitality. You cannot enjoy something at the level of senses unless you pay the price of it. And therefore, in that process, I lose my vitality. They weaken the power of my organs. And then also, even the long life that you're offering, how long can it be in comparison to limitless time? Meaning, Hey Yamaraja, what you're offering me, in place of Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya gives me limitlessness, meaning that I transcend all the limitations of time and place and objectivity. What is meant by limitless means that you are free from limitation of time, limitation of place, limitation of attributes, free from all limitations. So therefore you are offering the life, the longevity, but that is limited in time. However long the life is limited in time. Whatever kind of objects of pleasure you give me, they are still limited in measure, because any object can give me only a certain degree of happiness. What I want is limitless. Even if you add up all the limited things, they cannot add up to limitless. Meaning that, hey Yamaraja, what all you have offered me has no value at all as compared to what I am asking for. And therefore, Tavayavaha Tadamrutyagete, let your vehicles, dance and music be yours only. Don't even give me. Keep them with you. This is called Vairagya. Only when the value of the self is recognized, then alone we realize that these are all valueless. It is not that he is giving them up because there is no understanding or maturity. Sometimes you throw away things because you don't know its value. He's not Nachiketa, he's throwing all this pleasure because he doesn't know his value. He knows the value of what he wants, which is the most valuable or valueless. And therefore nothing can stand in comparison. Therefore, the Yamaraja gave a choice. Instead of Brahma Vidya, ask for this. Yeah, this has no value, this is nothing. Keep them with you, I don't want them. When thus Nachiketa was very firm, this is what the teacher wanted to test, whether he really is serious about what he is asking. And not only that, but is he a real commitment? Or he can be tempted and therefore he can fall for temptations, in which case it means that he doesn't have adequate value for it, he doesn't understand what he is asking for. But Nachiketa demonstrated, I know what I am asking for, and there is nothing that can stand the comparison. Everything is insignificant compared to the Brahma Vidya that I am asking for. So next verse teaches us what is it that must have gone on in the mind of Nachiketa when he came to this understanding. So let us read the next passage. Shreyascha preyascha manushyametah tau samparitya vivinakte धीरः श्रेयो हि धीरः अभिप्रेयसः वृणीते प्रेयः मन्दः योगक्षेमात् वृणीते. So here Yamaraja, before still the teaching of the self-knowledge has not begun. But Yamaraja is here in this verse describing what must have gone on in the mind of Nachiketa. What kind of evaluation or the reasoning must have taken place in his mind when he came to this choice. So this verse says that there are two choices in our life. Number one, human being is gifted with free will or a faculty of choice. And therefore we are required to make choice in every situation. This passage says that in every situation, these two come before us. Shreyascha preyascha manushyam etah. See the translation. Shreyas and preyas, the preferable and the pleasurable. The path of pleasure and the path of good approach the human being. Meaning that in every situation, these two, Shreyas and preyas. Now, preyas means something that is very dear to the senses. Preyas. Shreyas is that which gives me the everlasting happiness. So there are two sources of happiness in our life. One is called preyas, which is the happiness that is coming from things other than myself. And other is shreyas, that happiness coming from my own self. Two things in life, self and non-self. Atma and anatma. Self and non-self, these are two entities in life, right? And apparently it looks like both of them can give me happiness. As long as I don't have the true understanding of where the happiness comes from, I think that these are two sources of happiness. Self and non-self. The happiness coming from self is called Shreyas. Because self is limitless. It is eternal. And therefore happiness coming from self also is limitless, is also eternal. So there is on one hand eternal happiness, everlasting happiness, limitless happiness which is the nature of self, and therefore self of the Atma is the source of that happiness, meaning that in every situation we can tap into the self for that happiness. This is anatma. Other than self, the whole universe is there, consisting of all these names and forms, all the various objects of pleasure which give me gratification. The objects of the world give me gratification because there are cravings in my senses, there are cravings in my emotions, cravings in my intellect, craving in my ego. These different cravings are there within me. And these objects and achievements of the world satisfy that craving. That's called gratification. Now, second thing that we will see later is that unfortunately we are born with a natural affinity or desire for this sense gratification, that we are all seeking gratification. And the anatma, non-self, the objects of the world provide that gratification. And therefore there is a natural temptation or natural attraction towards them. My sense organs are attracted towards their respective objects of pleasure. My emotions also are attracted towards that which can give me gratification of emotion. And so the ego. And therefore the tendency is to go for immediate gratification. So prayas is what we call the pleasurable, that which offers me immediate gratification, inexpensive gratification. Because the objects of the world satisfy the craving of this self, and therefore there is the immediate gratification. It's called prayas. It is attractive to my sense organs, attractive to my mind, attractive to my ego. We are born with that natural attraction for these objects and achievements, and therefore the first impulse is to acquire that happiness which provides me immediate gratification, called prayas. And it seems to be very easy and very cheap, meaning that doesn't seem to require any great amount of effort or sacrifice on my part to gain the gratification of the objects. Now, good music is there, I enjoy that. Good food is there, I enjoy that. Wealth is offered to me, I enjoy this. Easy to enjoy those things and provides me self-gratification. So this doesn't seem to require an immediate cause. What they call is the short-term gain is what is provided by these objects of the world. Not realizing that it brings about long-term pain. Because they are addictive. I become addicted to them. They, in fact, I have to pay a price for every little piece of enjoyment that I gain requires price. They are binding to me. They are addictive. They, in fact, create the appearance of happiness, which, in fact, they don't have a content of happiness. But unfortunately, ordinary person does not recognize that. At the same time, in every situation, I also have an opportunity to tap into the happiness of the self. But for that, non-self must be given up. So happiness of the self requires me to completely withdraw from non-self, which is very attractive right now. So overcome those attractions is very painful. And therefore, this Shreya, which is the happiness of the self, which is the eternal happiness, seems to be painful in the beginning. Short-term pain, but long-term gain. One is short-term gain and long-term pain. Other is short-term pain, long-term gain. Both these choices come before every human being all the time. In every situation. Whether to become a consumer or a contributor. Simple. When you come before me, choice. Should I become useful to you or should I use you? Two choices are there. Should I take advantage of you, exploit you, use you for my benefit, or should I become useful to you? Choices are always there. Should I tell the truth or should I sacrifice truth for some paltry gain? Should I follow the values or easy way of take the convenient path to compromise the values so that I can get some worldly benefits. This choice is there in every situation, Shreyas and prayers. The second line says, Shreyo hi dhira vitau sam. So second part of the first line, Tau samparitya vivinakti dhira. So this dhira, the discriminative person, vivinakti, he analyzes the thing. He does not simply plunge into the choice. Otherwise, those moths in the monsoon, so many moths are there, and there are lambs, they simply jump into them, thoughtlessly. It's so attractive to them, not realizing that, jumping means they're going to die. They don't realize that. So an ordinary person, the non-thinking person also jumps into the attractions that are there, which are presented by the material happiness. So, preyaso vrunite abhipreya mat preyo mando yogakshema mandaha. Manda means indiscriminating one, the dull-headed one. In this non-thinking person, he goes for these cheap attractions, not realizing that they are binding me. Whereas dhira, a wise or discriminating person, analyzes. And as Nachiketa said that all the pleasures that you are offering, that are at the cost that I have to sacrifice the vitality of myself. I get exhausted and bound and addicted to them. And therefore those pleasures only result into nothing but pain. So, a wise or thinking discriminating person understands that short-term gain brings about a long-term pain, whereas a long-term gain will involve some short-term pain, but is willing to undergo the short-term pain. Because so many attractions are there and you have to withdraw, and you have to restrain your mind. It requires self-restraint. When the roads are all open and so wide and smooth roads are there, and these powerful cars can easily go at 100 miles an hour, and then my radar says there's no policeman around. These days they say policeman is reported, that's what the thing says, along with while giving guidance, says a policeman is reported. I don't know what is reported, somebody is reporting. So when there's no policeman reported, then you're safe. And that's the temptation. It's 55 miles an hour, 65, 75, 85, there's a thrill, an excitement. So there's a natural tendency to choose that which is exciting, which means that which gives me immediate gratification. Whereas to drive at 65 miles an hour requires a lot of self-restraint, because my car can easily go at 105 miles. I just bought a BMW. To follow that law requires self-restraint. And a wise person realizes that all laws are meant for my own well-being, not for some. I'm not obliging somebody else by following the law. Similarly, in life also, following the laws, following the values, the moral order, all of that requires a lot of self-restraint, because there is always temptation to take liberty, a little bit of. Swami is 65 miles an hour, so you can go up to 72, they won't bother you. Then 75, 78. And then that fellow is waiting for you, right there. They see you cannot afford the ride sometimes, You can't afford the fines. So this prayer, this is called like those moths which simply jump into the fire. So ordinary human being's mind, he simply gets attracted by the attractions, he gets tempted by the attractions and falls for them, not realizing that he's falling into a trap, that they're addicting, they're binding. that is only inviting nothing but bondage and therefore dependence and therefore sorrow. The path of sorrow and the path of happiness. The path of happiness requires self-restraint. Path of sorrow is just path of taking liberty and so. Dhiraha and Mandaha, these two persons are here. One is a discriminating person, other is a non-discriminating or non-thinking person. So in which category would Nachiketa fall? Dhiraha, who made the right choices. Well, all these temptations were there, all these were offered to him, very tempting. But he did not fall for them. He realized that and he analyzed them correctly. It is not that he gave them up without understanding. He says, Shobhavaha, what all you are offering to me is all ephemeral. Even the long life you are offering me also is insignificant compared to limitless time. And therefore, I have nothing to do with it. I don't want to, don't even give me. Leave it, keep them with you. So he chose that Vairagya. So this Shreyas and Preyas came before Nachiketa. What is Shreyas? The limitless happiness arising from the self-knowledge. What is Preyas? The pleasures or the excitement that is given by the various objects that Yamaraja presented to him. Shreyo Hidiro Abhipreyaso Brunite says the discriminating one chooses Shreyas rather than the Preyas. A non-discriminating one chooses Preyas. Who is Nachiketa? He is a Dhiraha. He is a discriminating one who chose the Shreyas. And that is how he qualified for this knowledge. Vidya Vipsam Nachiketa Sammanye. In fact, Yamaraja himself says that I consider Nachiketa as deserving of this knowledge. So, we'll take a break and in the next class, which is 11:30, we'll continue. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha.